Right now, two of the most powerful companies on Earth are racing to build the exact same impossible thing. A data center that doesn't sit on the ground at all. It floats, in orbit, above your head. One of them builds rockets. The other builds the brains of the modern internet. And they've each bet billions that the future of artificial intelligence isn't down here with us. It's up there, in the dark, bathed in sunlight. This is SpaceX versus Google. Same goal, completely opposite strategies. And the strangest part? To win, one of them might have to depend on the other. So let's break down who's actually ahead. First, the setup. The problem both companies are chasing is identical. AI is now eating more electricity and water than Earth can comfortably give it. Training the biggest models burns through power on the scale of small countries. So the wild idea on the table is to move the machines off the planet, where the sun never sets and there's no power grid to overload. On one side, SpaceX. Elon Musk's company already owns the cheapest rockets in the world and the largest satellite network ever built, Starlink. On the other, Google, the company that quietly designed its own AI chips and runs a huge slice of the internet's intelligence. One side owns the road to orbit. The other owns the brain you'd send up there. Now watch how differently they play the same hand. SpaceX's strategy is simple and almost reckless. Build at a scale nobody can match, and do it now. In January 2026, SpaceX filed with the FCC to launch up to 1 million satellites, not for internet, but as orbital data centers. Then in June, they revealed the first one. They call it AI-1. Its wingspan is about 70 meters, wider than a Boeing 747, and it delivers roughly 150 kilowatts of computing power. Musk's description was almost dismissive. He said it needs no magic. It's much simpler than a Starlink satellite. And the numbers only get bigger. SpaceX says it wants to be producing a gigawatt of space-based compute per year by the end of 2027, and then 10 gigawatts, 100, eventually a terawatt. To hit just that first gigawatt, they'd need around 6,700 AI-1 satellites launched and running in about 18 months. To feed that, they're building an 11 million square foot factory in Texas called Gigasat, and a chip fab with Tesla and Intel that could cost over $100 billion. That's the SpaceX philosophy in one line. Don't perfect it. Flood the sky with it. Google is playing the opposite game. Where SpaceX swings a sledgehammer, Google is using a scalpel. Its project is called Suncatcher, announced in November 2025. Instead of 1 million brute force satellites, Google's plan is elegant. Small satellites carrying its own TPU chips, flying in a tight formation about 1 kilometer across, talking to each other with lasers to behave like a single machine. And the first version isn't 1 million satellites, or even 1,000. It's 2. 2 prototypes targeted for early 2027, just to prove the idea works. Google has also already done homework SpaceX is rushing past. They took their newest TPU chips and bombarded them with radiation in a particle accelerator, simulating years in orbit. The chips survived. But here's the tell. Google's own estimate for when space-based AI actually becomes economically worth it is the year 2035. Not 2027. 2035. That's the whole rivalry in a nutshell. SpaceX is betting on now. Google is betting on right. Now here's the part that makes this race genuinely strange. These two aren't only competitors, they may be partners. Because Google builds satellites and chips, but it does not build rockets. And the cheapest ride to orbit on the entire planet belongs to SpaceX. Reports in 2026 say the two companies have actually been in talks for SpaceX to launch Google's Suncatcher satellites. Read that again. To compete with SpaceX in space, Google may have to buy its tickets from SpaceX. And they aren't the only ones up there. Amazon's Blue Origin has revealed its own constellation of around 5,400 satellites. A startup called StarCloud already flew a single NVIDIA chip into orbit, ran an AI model on it, and became a billion-dollar company almost overnight. The orbital gold rush is on, But SpaceX owns the road everybody has to drive to reach it. So who's ahead? It depends entirely on what you think the hard part really is. If the bottleneck is launch, getting mass to orbit cheaply, then SpaceX has basically already won, and everyone else is a customer. But if the bottleneck is the physics nobody has solved yet, cooling a city-sized computer in a vacuum, surviving years of radiation, running it all with 0 humans up there to fix anything, then Google's caution stops looking like slowness and starts looking like wisdom. Because that cooling problem is brutal. People assume space is cold, so cooling must be easy. It's the opposite. With no air to carry heat away, the only way to dump it is to radiate it into the dark, and that is one of the hardest unsolved problems in this entire plan. SpaceX is betting it can engineer around it at scale. Google is betting it takes another decade. They cannot both be right. Here's the honest read. The physics is real. Sunlight is better up there, and we've already watched a computer run AI in orbit. That part is no longer science fiction. But it working on one chip, and it working as a million of them cooling themselves above the planet, are separated by a canyon of unsolved engineering and tens of billions of dollars. What's not in doubt is the motivation. AI's hunger for power is growing faster than Earth can feed it, and the two smartest, richest companies in tech looked at the same problem and sprinted in opposite directions. One on speed, one on patience. When giants disagree that completely, it usually means one of them is about to be very famously right, and the other very expensively wrong. Either way, the next great data center probably won't be built on the ground at all. It's being designed right now by rivals who quietly need each other to float silently above you. If this changed how you see the race for the future, subscribe. We're following it the whole way up. I'll see you in the next one.